In order to keep bringing you guys tons of free content, we work with brand partners who you'll hear from in this episode, including an advertisement from Zopa Bank. Welcome back to the Talk 20s podcast. Before we dive into today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button so you never miss an episode of us in the studio. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Saterra St. Jean, aka Bust Bestie. In this episode, we're going to be talking about embracing your body, accepting yourself, and feeling confident in the skin you are in. On with the show. So hello, Saterra. Welcome to the Talk 20s podcast. It's amazing to have you here. Honestly, love your content. And we have a friend in common, don't we? The wonderful Stacey that runs the fashion brand Femmes. You're wearing Femmes today.
The best.
Most of you guys will probably have seen me wear Femmes because I literally live in it. But you've come up to Liverpool to see Stacey today. And we were like, let's get Saterra on the Talk 20s podcast.
Yes. So happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And people will notice that you have a bit of an accent. And tell us a little bit more about you, where you're from, and I'll explain why I might go into a Canadian accent in this episode.
So I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
A small town in northern Alberta. I grew up, I was actually telling Stacey today, I graduated with 8 kids. So come from a very, very small town, but had very, very big ambitions to do a lot
8 kids
more.
In your class?
8 kids. I was the 8th, so really 7.
Wow.
Yeah, so very small. There's 4 girls, 4 boys. It was like a family. Our whole school knew each other. We all even my teachers were my volleyball coaches and came to my birthday parties. It was a strange family which all got along.
Yeah.
It was really great. But yeah, I had a big ambitions to do much more than staying in my hometown. And from a really young age, I had a big entrepreneurial heart, just like my dad. And I really wanted to follow those dreams and go for it. And of course, I did like every other normal human being that gets told by their parents to go to school. I went to hair school originally, which I really did love, but it just didn't fulfill the entrepreneur soul that I have. And yeah, I ended up quitting that and just trying to figure out how to be my own boss and make my own money and kind of have the lifestyle that I have today. Very, very blessed to have that, to be able to just travel, make money, and kind of live the life. So decided to go traveling. I met my boyfriend and we went traveling and did the whole travel couple content thing and content creators, trying to do that. And COVID happened. Right before COVID happened, I got actually properly bra fitted. I was 21 and I was getting put into a Victoria's Secret 32 Triple D my whole life until I was in Australia, Sydney, Australia, and my one bra broke. My one strap just snapped off. It was a horrific experience for me because I already had a sports bra supporting it. It was just not a good time. I looked up double D plus bra stores, had no idea what to even look for. Didn't even know they existed. Went and got a proper bra fitting, and in that day, I went from a 32 Triple D to a 30H cup UK size.
Oh my gosh.
Jumping that size, you could tell being a woman, right? Like how that would make you feel. And I dropped to the ground in tears. I was so sad and so I was so sad that that so many women, first of all, don't know about this. Yeah. But also that I had to live that long not having a proper size. But I was also super, super, super happy. A week after that, COVID happened and I ended up moving home and went, okay, I need to figure out how to share this bra with every single person in the world. So I started a YouTube channel, reviewed the one bra, and it kind of just went from there. And now I have my whole brand as Bust Bestie because I'm your Bust Bestie here to teach you about bras and things.
It's so true. Honestly, I think unless you go and get yourself fitted properly, guessing is not the way forward when it comes to bra fittings, right?
No,
what should we know when it comes to bra fittings? What are things we need to be looking out for?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, I highly, highly recommend for anybody to get properly bra fitted and not at your mainstream stores. Because unfortunately, the mainstream stores were built they weren't built for women's comfort. They were built for men's pleasures. It was very sexy time. You want to look good in the bedroom, that kind of thing. So it never really started for women to feel comfortable. So I really feel like there's a really huge lack of education in the bra fitting world. And if somebody like myself who goes into a mainstream store well, if they don't fit into your typical size, they'll just squeeze you into it for a sale, which is really unfortunate. So the only thing that you could do now is actually go to a bra boutique that has multiple sizes. You can very easily now find up to a J cup, which is fantastic. Even some K cups, which is great. And they're not uncommon sizes. They're just, a lot of women don't know their size, right? One thing I will say is if you have discomfort in your bra, or you have to think about your bra because you're moving your boobs around, whatever it's like, your bra doesn't fit. If you can't find any sort of bra boutique in your town, there's actually plenty of brands that do online fittings just over Zoom. So
How does that work?
You literally just book an online fitting, and because a good proper bra fitter doesn't have to use a measuring tape. They know just by looking at you. So you get on a Zoom call, you put on the size that you already have, right? Any bra you already have. And they'll tell you to do specific things, pull bands, pull straps, move around, and they'll be able to say, okay, you are this size. When I got properly fitted, she never used a measuring tape. She just looked at me up and down, came back with a whole different size. I'm like, whoa, it's magic.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of women will be able to relate to the fact of like wearing bras that don't fit and feel uncomfortable. I mean, probably I'm not wearing the right size because I definitely, especially like a strapless bra as well. Like when I get home at the end of the day, my favorite thing to do is to take it off and put my pajamas on. I'm like, oh my God, like that is the best feeling ever.
Yeah. And that's a good indicator that it doesn't.
Oh God, I'm going to have to go and get tested, aren't I? But I do think that like, it's not something that we're like ever talked about in school because like bras and boobs can be a bit of like a taboo topic. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And it is really, really sad that for a long time the boobs and breasts they're shunned and they get told put away. And honestly, it's put a lot of psychological damage on myself personally, but I do know a lot of women as well thinking they have to get breast reductions or they have to hide themselves or all these different things because they think their boobs are the problem when they're really not. But that is a huge part of the reason why I started Fuller Bust Bestie in the first place. It's like, we have them. We shouldn't have to hide ourselves just because we have them. Being told, like, having a low-cut tank top. Let's say if I wore the same top as you right now, I would have a much different reaction from people that you would just generally when we're wearing the exact same top. Why is there a difference, right? Like, we all have breasts. It's just some are larger, some are smaller. It shouldn't be a weird thing. It shouldn't be a taboo thing. It should be just normalized.
I feel like we can't have this discussion without talking about how like it's massively sexualized though. Like so
100%.
And I know that's a lot of trouble that you've had like creating content online and stuff like that. Like obviously we have this whole conversation around well, it's really tricky because I think for a lot of creators that post, content online, they're often censored. They're often 100%. Like their posts are removed. Do you know what's funny? Actually, I did a post like a collaboration with the Northwest Cancer Research the other week, and it was on my stories, and I was literally just writing like, check your boobs. Like it was breast cancer awareness. I was saying check your boobs for lumps. I was not saying anything else apart from like, do your checks, right? And before I posted it, Instagram came up with a little notification and said to me, this is like sensitive content. And I was like,
asked you to edit it?
And asked me to edit it. So I went back and I changed boobs to breasts. Check your breasts, which is not something I would say. I would say boobs. Check your breasts. Oh yeah, fine, posted it. But I was talking about cancer.
It makes absolutely no sense to me, and I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I had the same issue. I was literally just doing written posts. Didn't show anything. Yeah. It was just a written post for polls to get some analytics and stuff from my followers. Yeah. Same thing, boobs. It was like, this content has been censored lately. Like, do you want to edit it? I'm like, no, thank you. Move along. But yeah, it is one of those things. I feel confused, but also just like there's a fine line between really trying to push your limits and like stand your ground and be the one to like change the censorship thing. And also, this is my business. This is my life. If I do end up get taken away, then what do I do? Kind of thing. Because social media is the way that I make money. If social media gets taken away from me, which it has in the past, how do I make my money? So it's kind of trying to diversify the platforms. And I don't know if you know this, but last year, when I first started Fuller Bust Bestie, I grew my TikTok to 400,000 followers. And then just insane. One day I opened the app and it was gone. Just like it said, you've breached too many community guidelines. We've removed all of your posts and it's gone. Didn't give me a chance to save anything.
Forever.
Nothing. Just forever gone by a press of a button. And how many contracts did I have with that specific account that now it's like, oh, well, shit, what do I do?
Yeah.
Ended up having to kind of switch my platform a little bit. Instagram has been okay. I've gone quite a bit of censorship in like lately, but I think everyone has, even to the point it's getting ridiculous that I've had brands use my videos for them. And it'll just be like a movement like this. Like I'm literally just moving side to side so you could see the bra in its whole, like the piece. And it was considered like sexual movement and sensual dancing. And the brand itself got censored because of my content and couldn't use it in ads. And it's like, it's not like I'm shaking my boobs in the camera. It's like I'm just moving side to side so you could see the product. And there's been a lot of creators in my industry, specifically Fuller Bust, that are much less sensual than I am. Like I do like putting sensual content out on Instagram. Just in the sense that like, you want to feel cute and you want to feel yourself, whatever. But they're very like, a lot more modest, I guess I could say, on their page, and their content's being completely censored and taken down. And it's like, how much do you want us to cover ourselves? Like, why should we have to do that? I don't understand. So yeah, talking about this topic is really hard, but you kind of have to push your boundaries because it's much needed in the industry. And that's the thing is, if I don't do it, who will?
Young girls who have a fuller bust will want this content. Exactly. They will want to know what they should be wearing, how they feel comfortable, because otherwise they land themselves in territories of, I want a breast reduction. Is that something that you've ever considered or feel comfortable talking about?
Yeah. So when I was 16, I remember coming home to my mom like in tears and told her, I said, I want to get a breast reduction. I'm done. Like I had boobs since I was 8. I was the only one. I have 2 sisters, older sisters. Neither of them have large boobs. My mom has big breasts, but she was just as educated as I am because she taught me all this stuff, right? She was also squished into the triple D until this whole thing started. But I was the only one in my class. There's not very many of us, but I was the only one. It's the only one in my class or my school for that matter that had a really large chest, and then also my sisters. So having to go to gym class and being in school and like going even school clothes shopping, like everything. It was such a nightmare. Like I had to wear a bra that spilled at every angle plus a sports bra over top. And then having to play sports, sometimes I double sports bra because just jumping around, it hurt. It was uncomfortable. Like I got stared at. It was just a lot for a little girl, right?
Yeah.
But then also you want to wear like normal clothes and even like a tank top in the summer. And for like, bless my mom, I know they're just doing that to protect me and, because they're my mom. But telling me to cover up constantly was one of those things that like, you think, oh, should I? Like, do I have to? Like, what's wrong with me that I have to kind of cover my body when everybody else can be fine? So yeah, I came home the one day and I went, I'm done, Mom. I want a breast reduction. This is ridiculous. And I'll never forget what she said to me because I'm so, so happy that she did. She sat me down and she said, okay, Saterra, I totally understand that it's uncomfortable and it might be hard, like finding bras and stuff right now, but your boobs are a huge part of your motherhood and they're a huge part of your sex life. And you're going to want them. And surgery is very, dangerous. It can be like that you could lose sensation, whatever that is. She said, when you're 18 years old, you can make whatever decision you want. But while you're still living under my roof and you're still my daughter, I won't let you do that. And I'm so happy that she said that to me because I would have done it and I wouldn't be where I am today. But there was still, after all of that and trying to learn, it wasn't until I actually started Fuller Bust Bestie that I just like actually worked on my confidence with my body because I'm like, I can't tell people to like wear these bras and feel really good when I actually hated my boobs at one point in my life, like to the point that I would look in the mirror and avoid them completely because I thought they were ugly. And why do we get like trained, right, that something on us isn't actually beautiful and amazing? You know, like all of it is. So really trying to like work past those things have now got me to the place that I am. And I kind of did a post on this the other day about how your mess is always going to be somebody else's message. And that's like the most important thing. If I would have got a breast reduction, I would never be in this position doing what I love, helping other people find the best bras. So.
A quick ad break from Zopa Bank. See if you could cut your monthly cost by connecting your accounts using the Zopa Bank app. Simply head to the For You page in the app, link your accounts, and get personalized insights and tips to see if you could save on your bills or subscriptions. Just search Zopa, that's ZOPA, in your chosen app store and start saving money now. Confidence is something that our audience talk about a lot, and they say, you know, we're really, really struggling with confidence. How have you managed to kind of gain more confidence in your body, in everything that you do through what you do?
So when it first started and I ended up I knew I had to get past this whole boob thing. Obviously, if I was going to be telling people to wear these beautiful bras, I had to show myself in them and love them completely. I was working with a body talk therapist for a really long time. So it's basically like therapy, but it's more energy-based versus talk-based therapy. And we did this one big long session. I said, I know I have still like a lot of body confidence issues. I really want to do this thing. I knew I had this passion to just like talk about breasts and bras and everything. As soon as I found out my size, I'm like, this is my life goal, is to do this thing. And I need you to help me get past this so I can really step into those shoes. And she made me stand in front of the mirror and tell her as if she was blind what I saw. So we went like step by step, like head to toe, like what I saw in the mirror. We went through all these things, and it was like a 2-hour session. I basically, there was a point where she said, okay, where is your center? And it should be a glowing light like here. But we had to break through like all these barriers and like actually physically remove all the stuff that was going through my body. And it was this crazy magical experience. And at the very end, she said, what is the one thing that is like that you see that you don't want to see in the mirror? And obviously it was my boobs. And I said, it's my breasts. And she said, I need you to stare at them for me. Like, give them a good long stare until you can stare at them and say, I love you. That was like the biggest turning point for me, because I avoided them for so long, to now have to stare at them and say, I love you. Like, it was really, really difficult. But at that point it broke down. It was one of those things, like I actually then felt connected to my body again. And it's weird when you're not connected and then you end up feeling your body again, you're like, oh my gosh, I actually have a connection with you and I love you and this is great. You didn't realize how far you were from that. And at that point is when things really started to change. And every day I looked at them and I said, I love you. And I stared at them in the mirror and I said, I love you. And you just have to start doing it, because it's your body forever. This is your only best friend, right? You have to take care of it and you have to love it every day. So slowly, it's never going to be instant, but slowly I started to love her again, and now she's my home.
I love that story. I think so many of us can relate to hating a certain part of our body, like whether, you know, whatever it is, legs, bums, tums, whatever, boobs, no matter what. Like, and I think it's a really hard thing to do, to kind of accept yourself and kind of say, this is my home, as you just said, like, this is my body, this is my home. One, I'm going to take care of it, but two, I'm going to love it at the same time, because so many of us in our 20s start to have hang-ups from when we were younger. We start to develop hang-ups as we kind of grow, and it can be really hard to shift them and to say, no, this is part of who I am, or just not even just acknowledge that we even have them. Because I think so many kind of go through life and would never even land themselves in the situation where you are, because they're just like, oh, I just hate it. They'd never look in the mirror. They'd never pay attention. They're always looking somewhere else. They're just not actually really focusing on that. That's and it. Just, kind of raising the like awareness of like, no, actually I don't treat myself very well when I look at myself in this way. Definitely. It's so important. And I honestly, like, I didn't realize how far I was from connecting to my body. And when I came back to it, I'm like,
this is the best thing ever. How come it took me that long? So yeah, the biggest advice ever is to do that as young as you possibly can, because it is the most beneficial. It means that no matter what point you are in your life, you have yourself, and that's fine. Like, you don't need anybody else, because you know you got it, because you're connected to your soul. You actually love being everywhere that you are, and it's a magical experience.
Absolutely. You create a lot of empowering content for women in particular online. Do you feel like, is your audience mainly female, or do you have, I don't really know how to word this, but like, do we have any males that kind of spend a lot of time on your page for negative reasons, shall we say?
Yes, absolutely. Me and Stacey were talking a lot about this today, of course, and I think it's just the nature of the content that I do. Yeah. Unfortunately, there is no going around that. The biggest thing, because of course I get like the most disturbing comments I bet you could possibly imagine. Steering away from that and just really just focusing on why I'm there is the biggest thing for me. And that I was always so caught up in it when it first started happening. And, you know, like being in a relationship and doing this type of content can be like a fine line when you're first starting. And you're like, okay, like this is weird. Like a lot of men are seeing me in my underwear. Like, this is strange. But you end up kind of finding your groove with it. And you're like, I know that whatever they're thinking, whatever they're doing, that's not my business. As much as we don't want to think about it, you just kind of have to turn that stuff off. Just go and continue the mission, because truly I am there for the women. I'm there to help, and hopefully at one point maybe people will smarten up a little bit and respect people a little bit more online. But for now, I can't really do anything. So
no, it's a frustrating one. And I guess on that topic as well, like, there are kind of platforms where censorship isn't happening, where, you know, you're able to post whatever you want and you're able to make money from it too. Woo.
Yeah.
All for that. One of those being OnlyFans. Have you got any experience of OnlyFans? Have you used the platform at all?
Yeah. So when I first started on Instagram and TikTok with Bust Bestie, I was very much censored a lot at the beginning. It was kind of like finding my ground. You can't, at that point, you couldn't even show nipple through a sheer bra, like nothing at all, right? Instagram was still kind of like that. I think now you could show most of your nipple. I've seen quite a bit of that, but I'm not really sure on the regulations. Anyways, so I was like, okay, there needs to be a platform where I could show what the bra truly looks like, because sometimes pasties kind of makes it a little bit like disformed kind of, or whatever. So I decided to join OnlyFans, and it was just a chaotic mess, if I'm honest. It was just a lot of high expectations of things I was uncomfortable with. I was not there for what maybe other OnlyFans creators are there for, which each to their own, you do you, girlfriend, but I just didn't like the expectation of people coming and being like, okay, I want this exact thing for a super cheap price. And that was not at all what I was there for. So it was about 2 months, I want to say. Made a little money. I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. And then about 6 months later, I want to say, because Bust Bestie is going to be... what year is it? 2020.
It's still 2023, I believe.
So, Bust Bestie will be exactly 2 years old this November.
Okay. It's still a baby, to be fair.
I have to look back. Maybe it's just 1 year. It's going to be 1 year old this November.
Hang on, you only started in November last year.
Yes. Because last summer... I was in New York for the first time, and that's when everything started. Yes, so it'll be 1 year this November.
Wow.
Bust Bestie.
Because you've absolutely taken the world by storm. I literally said that to you when we were grabbing coffee before. I was like,
crazy.
Really? You've been doing it only that long? Like, wow.
Yeah, wow. I can't believe that either, to be honest. But yeah, only 6 months after that, I ended up having... I'm getting all my years mixed up, but let's just go with that. Pretty sure it's a year or two. Anyways, 6 months after that, I got approached by a co-founder of an app called Sunroom. Her name is Michelle. She emailed me and said, hey, I have this new app. It's kind of like OnlyFans, but it's more of like it's just a platform where you could get paid for your content. It's uncensored. It's all like censored by women, so it's not censored for women. Does that make sense? Like Instagram and other platforms do. And it's only can be female creators, female non-binary creators. And it has a very cool new technology, which is anti-screenshot and anti-screen recording, which is very, very cool, which I really loved the sound of it. And I was like, okay, that sounds really awesome. This is why I'm thinking, yes, it's been 2 years in November, because it was last October that I joined. And I was super, super excited about it. Like, let's figure it out. It's female owned. It was brand new. So I was one of the first creators. Let's go. And I started in October. By May, I had quit my full-time job and I was already making 10K plus a month on the app. And that was just by me posting what I wanted to post on Instagram, but was getting censored by anyways. And all of then those comments that you find in the captions and everything just goes straight in, you cash in. It's what they want, you figure it out, and that's it. And it's been a godsend for sure. It's been amazing. So being able to have a platform where I could share like the rawness of what I do and then have the, I guess, more censored platform on Instagram, if that's how the industry has to go, because that's where the content creators are being pushed to, then so be it.
I think it's good that obviously there's a platform that is kind of more run by women, because I think for a long time, a lot of people make a lot of, it's difficult to be in that position, I think, where, you know, you're putting out content and it's another person that's telling you whether it should be censored or not. Because one of the things I will point out that like, guys definitely post pictures with their, you know, no top on.
100%.
Never see them censored for their nipples.
Exactly.
Ever. So what technology is Instagram using that they can go, okay, that's a woman's figure. We're going to censor that out. Like, it just
makes no sense, doesn't it?
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense that creators like yourself are being driven to platforms where you can still post the content that you want, but it's, you know, it's on your terms.
Exactly. That's it. And that's exactly why I joined Sunroom. And it's been amazing, especially because it's still such a small app and it's female founded. Like, I've had, if I had any issue, I could go to them and it was like, okay, let's solve it right away. And that's that. So it's been really, really amazing. But I agree I can't believe even if Instagram like did censor, you know, like even though Instagram does censor, I still see that it depends on the size. And that also makes me so furious because like I free the nip all the way, like put it out there, absolutely. But it's infuriating that like a woman maybe with smaller breasts than myself can post the same thing as I would, but I would still be censored because of my size. And it's the unfairness also that it's like, okay, if somebody, like you were saying, male, has the nips out, why can't it just be a little bit more fat? That's literally all a boob is nipple with fat. So it's like, why aren't we just all an even playing field?
Do you think it's a societal issue then? Because I think Instagram are probably always going to argue that like, well, like, you know, we can't be showing this kind of content to young people and we're a platform where technically anyone could find you. And I guess with OnlyFans and Sunroom and all those kinds of things, people are paying for it. So it's not going to, you know, children aren't going to be involved and stuff like that. But like at the same time, like I get you on the fairness side of things because this is just your body. Like this is how you wake up and this is how you walk out your house every single day.
Exactly.
Like that shouldn't be different rules for some and different rules for others.
I think there's two things with that. One is that either Instagram should, because I think honestly Instagram's going to lose quite a few creators like in the coming, you know, obviously it's still going to be very, very popular. But they could either, to stop it, put some sort of age restriction where it's like, okay, when you first get on there, prove you're 18 or something, or put like some sort of like, you only push it out to 18-year-olds. Yeah. That kind of step within the platform can solve some sort of the issue, if that's what they're concerned about, right? Which they should be, definitely. Or the second one is what me and Stacey were talking about today, is that a lot of the content that gets censored on my platform only gets flagged after tons and tons of nasty comments. So it's almost like I was telling Stacey today, I had a YouTube short on my YouTube for a full year. And it was reviewing a poor fitting sports bra versus a good fitting sports bra. That stayed on my page, totally fine, was growing naturally until randomly it got picked up by a bunch of disgusting and disturbing comments. And within a week, it was flagged by sexualized content. So it's like, is it the content or is it the really awful comments that are in the section? But why aren't the comments censored?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, I could just, all this stuff is for women. Why isn't the super, super nasty comment when I report it being, oh, like, it's actually fine. It's all good. That's
it's basically saying like, not that you are, but like you're the problem.
Exactly.
Which is not the case.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not the people commenting, it's you. It's if they can just be respectful and know what the content is for, maybe you won't get flagged. Does that make sense? And
Stacey, obviously, she has Femmes, which is I love these tops. They're so amazing. This is just like proud friend situation. Yes. But like they fit really well, but she'll do like a before and after of like wearing like a non-fitting top and then the thing with your friends, and she still gets really, no other way to say it, pervy comments on that. And again, it's a brand for women.
Seriously.
Like,
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's almost like it's not the content that needs to stop, it's the comments.
Yeah.
And it's just like how...
Which is a whole societal issue.
If the platform doesn't change that, then it's just whatever.
Well, I love the message you have about kind of loving your body and body confidence and stuff like that. But I'd love to chat to you a little bit more about your 20s, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
I'd love to chat about any of your biggest adulting disasters or failures. Anything that comes to mind when you think of, oh my gosh, I'm an adult and I completely messed up, and something you'd be happy to share.
So I was thinking about this a lot in the shower this morning, not really sure what I was going to say. Honestly, it's not really much of a fuck up. And I'm going to say this because I've always been very, very hard on myself when it comes to being an adult from a really young age. I never really gave myself the chance to like be wild and free and whatever. Like, from the time I was 16, I was like, yeah, I want to be my own boss. I need to make my own money, whatever. So I was really strict with myself. So I didn't really go through a party phase. I didn't really do much of that. I maybe had like 6 months of going to the bar and getting wild, and that's kind of it. What I would say is I wish I knew that everything was going to just work out the way it's supposed to, and then I just slowed down, because I think one of the biggest things that I regret doing is being like, okay, this is it. This is the thing that I'm going to do. And I would quit my job being like, I'm in it full time. Like, let's go. And then it doesn't work out. And then I'm either like stuck for money or like in this like really crap situation where I end up being like crying back to mom and dad being like, I need you to help me pay rent because my business idea didn't work out, when I could have just know that everything happens for a reason in the right timing, and I can just continue my work and just to fuel that business and fuel that fire kind of thing and pay my rent and do my things until it was the right time for me to really just step in, because I know all of these lessons that I went through and all of these fuck ups were all meant to happen for a reason, because we all have our own things that lead us in the right direction. But honestly, I don't know if I have like a massive one besides just never having enough money to fuel my big dream. Yeah.
I think that's very relatable. I think a lot of us would say the same, to be honest. The other thing we like to talk about on the podcast is the fact that, like, no matter how big the creator or the expert or whoever we have sat in your seat right now, no one in their 20s is perfect. That's a really big message that we want to put out there, that everyone is trying to figure out something for themselves. For you, what's that one thing that you're trying to work on for yourself in your situation at the moment? Take your time.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm really trying to level up my business right now. So I'm kind of like, you know, when you set goals for yourself in your business and you're just like, okay, like this is what I want to do in the next however many years. I've kind of am at this point where I've reached all those goals, and I'm really proud of myself for reaching all those goals. But now it's setting those like extra insanely big goals and like next steps in the business and in life. And it's not like, I guess, trusting the process, because I'm now in this like really like great floater kind of living the dream, what you've wanted, achieving your goals situation. But what's next? And I know that social media is not around forever. And I know that I don't really want to be in social media forever, right? I want to be able to be a mom and do my thing and have something that's more of a passive income, that's more generational wealth, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas how do I get to that point now? I'm in this point where, okay, I have the time and the money to invest in that like next generation, like, but what is that and how do I get there? So yeah, just really trying to
do you feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to find that thing? Like,
I think I know that it's not one thing, it's multiple, but it's starting those multiples while also balancing and like I've learned really early on to celebrate each win and to never chase the dream, meaning like to really once now I've hit this goal, right? And I've hit these dreams, not to then only focus on the next one, but try to like enjoy being in that, right? So really trying to figure out, okay, how do I expand and grow and do the multiple things while also enjoying? So I've started working with a business coach, really trying to kind of get things set into place. But yeah, I guess balancing both of not putting too much pressure on myself, but knowing there's pressure because you know, you're there. What's next?
Well, I'm excited to see what you do. I'm sure it'll be amazing, whatever path you take. But it's been amazing to have you on the podcast. And I think it is important content that you're putting out there. You kind of, I think one of the things is like for young people, if they can't see themselves online, they think they have to cover up even more. And I think what you're giving them is an opportunity to be like, no, love yourself. Like,
absolutely.
You know, you're beautiful the way that you are. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing. But we always end the podcast with the same question that we ask every single one of our guests. And if you could look back at 20-year-old Saterra and just give her one piece of advice, what would you want to say to her?
I love this question. I would say, you got this. That like everything that you want to achieve will happen in time. So enjoy the whole process.
Amazing advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and thank you to our listeners for listening. Before we go, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, please can you like and subscribe and leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of the episode. If you're listening on Spotify, please follow and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe and leave us another 5-star review. Leave us a little message. Tell us where you're listening from. Thank you so much for tuning in.